First up, you'll need a cake board. So this cake board should be the same size as your top tier cake. So for this cake, my top tier is 6 inches. So I will be using 6 inches round cake board. Next is you'll need to cut a hole in the center of your cake board. So I am just getting or measuring my cake boards to get the center. So I'll need about 3 inches only. Once you have identified the center, just draw a square around it. Just big enough for your straw to fit in it. So just like that one. So that is just big enough for the straw to pass through later. Then just cut it to make a hole. So again, the hole on this cake board should be big enough for the straw to fit in just like that one. Next is you need to make sure that your cakes are properly leveled. I will be using this cake leveler to evenly level my cakes. Once your cakes are nice and leveled, it's now time to frost your cakes. So this is how I frost or ice the top tier cake. So first, I add a tape onto my turntable, then parchment paper, then my cake board. So I always do this technique because it's really hard to frost the top tier cake because again, our cake board is the same size as the cake. I will just add a little bit of icing underneath the cake board so that the cake board would stick into our parchment paper. So just continue or start icing your cakes. Once frosted, you can now start assembling your cake. You'll need 5 milk tea straws, so you can use 7, but for this one I'll only use 5. Then for the first milk tea straw, all you need to do is to make sure that it is long enough to reach the top tier cake, but not long enough to exceed the height of the total cake. Make sure to insert your first milk tea straw at the center of the cake. For the 4 remaining straws, all you have to do is to cut it the same size as your bottom tier cake. So this will serve as the support for your cakes. So just make sure to cut it the same size, all of the 4 straws. So you don't want it to be unevenly cut because it will affect the placing of the top tier cake. Then just put the straws all around the cake. So it should be evenly distributed to evenly carry out the weight of your top tier cake. So if you notice that the milk tea straw is longer than the bottom tier cake, just continue cutting it. Now get your top tier cake. So right now what I'm just doing is I am taking off the parchment paper out of my cake. So I have already removed the parchment paper. So remember earlier that we added a hole into the cake board of the top tier cake. So that hole should pass through the milk tea straw at the center of our cake. You might notice that there's a dent on the top tier cake. Since I can't do anything to fix it, I will just add a border on the top tier. So this cake is actually DIY sprayed. But if it's like a normal cake, like white icing only or a simple dyed icing, then I can probably fix the dent on the top tier cake. And that's it. That's how I stack my tiered cakes. So this technique is really helpful to me, especially if you have to deliver or transport the cake. I really don't have to worry about the top tier cake falling off because the milk tissue that we added at the center of our cakes will hold both cakes together. So you don't have to worry about your cakes being transported. Here are some of the cakes wherein I used this technique. So this one was transported from Novaliches, Quezon City to Manila. That is about a 2-hour drive. So this cake arrived safely at its destination. For this one, from Novaliches, Quezon City to Cubao. So it's a 30-minute drive. Again, it arrived to the venue safely. And of course, the finished product of the cake we decorated or worked on earlier is the Spider-Man and Batman cake. So my tip for you guys is to always use a cake drum whenever you're making tiered cakes, because we all know that tiered cakes is really heavy compared to the normal ones, so you really need a sturdy cake board to hold all of the cakes together.